So, Mohammed, the statement by the Republic is very clear, unequivocal, that what your clients have done is unlawful, is unconstitutional, is in breach of the peace, and because it is criminal, they ought to be arrested and prosecuted. What do you say? Please unmute your microphone.
Good morning.
Morning.
Senior Counsel Samson Ladi, I admire you from afar. We do not know ourselves, but I think we get to know ourselves. I greet everybody who is taking part of this important discussion. And I actually greet all the audience who want to be educated and get involved in bringing peace in Bawku.
Great.
First of all, Mr. Thompson, you recall that this is a Republican state. It is not a monarchy. And everything that we do is regulated by law, that is the Constitution of Ghana. And the Constitution of Ghana, per Article 19.5, indicates that nobody should be arrested. I just want to paraphrase. Nobody should be arrested for a law that does not exist. Let's contextualize it. What the Nairi did the other time, last week, what is unconstitutional about it? What is criminal about it? It is rather the state, it is rather the republic, it is rather the government, let me put it bluntly, that is going to create problem that does not exist. The Nairi has done or had done things in accordance with the Mampuruku or Mampurusi custom and tradition. Assuming without admitting that the newly enslaved Bawku Naba is arrested, what would be the charges preferred against him? And we are prepared to meet anybody in the courtroom. We will not say that we will take the law into our own hands. No. We will meet everybody in the courtroom and exonerate our client that he did not do anything untoward as far as the laws of the country is concerned. That is my first and foremost commentary in respect of that. If I'm going to go further, Mr. Sampson, Senior Counsel, I would indicate that the posturing of the government from the inception is not the best of it. The government has taken sides as if it is the agent of the Kusasis, which is not well, because they ought to be in between the protectors, the Mampusis and the Kusasis.
The government,
the government.
Mohammed, the government is the enforcer of law.
I agree with that.
Especially public law, including criminal law. So if the government's view is that there has been a process to enskin and which has actually been consummated in enskinning someone, contrary to the provisions in the Chieftaincy Act, and you know that the provisions are clear that if a person who is not hailing from and so on purports to put themselves up as a chief for which they are not, they are committing a criminal offense which is punishable by law.
Very well. We're talking about lineage here. I like that part of it. The Bawku Naba who has been enslaved by the Naivi, his grandfather was Bawku Naba Kulga. His great-grandfather was Bawku Naba Mambuda. His great-great-grandfather was Bawku Naba Mahamba. His great-great-great-grandfather was Bawku Naba Satim. He can trace his genealogy to the 15th the first Bawku Naba. Aburago Azoka Nichema, as it were, apart from his father Aburago Azoka, who was enslaved as Bawku Naba in 1957 per Nkrumah's fiat. I don't think he can say his grandfather had ever been a Bawku Naba before. So just opposing the two of them, who hails from a proper lineage of chieftaincy, Ghanaians will look at this. Therefore, what we are saying is this. What we are advocating is that it's a civil matter. It's purely a chieftaincy and a causes and matter of chieftaincy. Let anybody who is aggrieved go to the court and, as it were, get back his rights. Mr. Sampson, you are a lawyer. Your clients consult you most of the time, especially in civil matters. It's either they have a dispute with other people or other people have a dispute with them and institute a suit in the courtroom. Therefore, this one, we have the opinion that it falls within the realm of civil matter. The state does not have any hands in this. And causing the arrest of the newly enslaved Bawku Naba would rather exacerbate the situation. Therefore, the government should relook at it. There has been some threats, some pressure from especially the Kusasis that government should work it. I just heard Honorable Ayarika, that government should work its talk in enforcing the law. What is the beef of government here? So I rest it here, and then maybe when we proceed, I think things can unfold, then we'll get to know things better. Maybe if you have any further questions, that I will need to come in. Thank you.
Right. What do you say to the Kusasi youth movement, who both parties have issued statements, both youth groups have both issued statements, which I've had the opportunity of reading. What do you say to the Kusasi youth who suggest that what you are seeking to do is to do what they call domestic colonialism? That you are bringing a chief, naming a chief from another place, and bringing that person into Bawku, where there is already a chief. And that they have described as domestic colonialism. What do you say to that?
Samson, they have the right to describe it as they lie. But the fact is that Bawku is part of Mampurugu. Mampurugu is Bawku. That's one fact that we have to establish. Secondly, there is no any colonialism. Bawku was established by Mampurugu and named it as Bawku. Bawku is Mampuruli. It is not Kusal. As I speak with you, my mother is Kusas. I speak fluent Kusal. Bawku is Mampuruli. If they owned Bawku, what was the name of Bawku before the name Bawku was made? That is aside. Besides that, we have about 17 to 18 canton chiefs in Bawku. For that matter, now some have been elevated. It is only 5 of them that are being Mampurusi chiefs, including Bawku. The rest, apart from Kulugungu, are Kusasis. Mampurusis are not advocated to go and become chiefs of Pusiga, which was begun by Mampurusi, and now Kusasis are the chiefs. Mampurusis are not advocating to become the chiefs of Zebila, which is Kusasi-dominated area. Mampurusis are not seeking to become chiefs of Garu and the rest. But Bawku, as we all know as lawyers, that the institution of chieftaincy is traditional and custom. Who began it? It is the Mampurusis that began the chieftaincy in Bawku. And there is nothing like colonialism as far as this thing is concerned. It is just that at a point in time, there has been a truncating of the processes and a lot of stress on the Nairi not to exercise his traditional role as the enskainer of the Bawku tradition. And Nairi thinks that at this time, that an ought to be removed. And then he's done exactly what the tradition demands of him.
So you mentioned something about Bawku being Mampruli.
Yes.
Apart from the claims that they make about asking and making an example that you cannot purport to install a chief in Asante land and bring that chief to Fanti land to become the chief of Fanti land. The question that is being asked again, you say Bawku is Mampruli land, is that when you read from various accounts, it is rather the Kusasi that dominates. And within the region and outside the region, nationally, collectively, the Kusasi far outnumber the Mamprusi. And there is one report constituted by the colonial administration then, which actually put it this way. Let me just read this portion of it for you. It says that both the red and white voters flow through the district and make it perhaps the most fertile district in that part of the country. Here it's talking about the northeastern corner of Ghana. And it says that the population is mainly Kusasi, but there are also Mamprusi, Moshi, Busanges, Frafres, and a few houses who live there permanently. However, the population of all other tribes put together does not come anywhere near the Kusasi figure, according to the 1951 census. There are over 147,000 Kusasis in the district. What do you say about that?
I do not intend to dispute any other thing, but it is, for me, it is a fallacy. You see, people tend to mix the traditional boundary with the executive boundary, the executive administrative boundary. Traditional boundary transcends beyond executive administrative boundaries. For example, you see the Asante Hindi, who has domain across the Bono area. Now, the Nairi owns Bawku from Nalergu, because the Nairi started in Bawku and moved to Gambaga, then and settled in Nalergu. Now, the Nairi explains Zwarungu, where you come from. Zwarungu, I know you are coming from Gambigo, but Gambigo is bounding Zwarungu. The Nairi explains the Zwarungu Naba. The Nairi explains the Tongorana, which is in Upper East region, not in the Northeast region. Something. One thing that people don't understand is that if you come to look at the demography of Bawku, there are many people who call themselves Kusasis. If you go into their origin, they are not Kusasis. I'll give you the example. If you go to Kugri, everybody knows now that the Kugri enclave, they are Moses, they are not Kusasis. Dominica Zimbe and Co., they used to call themselves Kusasis, but they know they are Moses. If you come to Bugri are Zabrames, not Kusasis, but they speak Kusal. If you go to Binduri, they are Mampursis, but they speak Kusal. It doesn't mean that they are Kusasis. The demography, which some of us are aware, the population is contestable. We can contest whoever thinks that Kusasis combined are more than the rest of the tribe. I do not think that is true. Besides that, Chieftaincy is not talking about numbers. It's about authority of tradition. Who began it and who is supposed to be traditionally the originator of that institution. not talking about population. And then also Bawku is separate from Pusiga. Bawku is separate from Buguri. Bawku is separate from Zabugu. Bawku is separate from Zebila. But they bring all these together and box them just to confuse the understanding of other people. Excuse my language. But as we are talking about Bawku now, Bawku is predominantly Mampusis.
Okay.
Bawku exclusively with others, predominantly Mampusis.
Okay.
Therefore, Samson, we are saying that there is no any colonialism here. The Nairi is exercising his traditional authority, and then he's exercising his birthright to enskin Bawku as it began in 1721 until Kwame Nkrumah came in and this then translated.